Hey, Pastor. How are you? Thank you.
Great.
Thank you so much for taking a moment out of your time. I know it's been a long day for you,
It's been a great day
but a
for us
great
in
day.
the city of Flint.
Oh, my goodness, to hear you say that. This is Pastor Monica, and Pastor Monica, when our team from Sunshine for Flint took their time to go up to Flint, Michigan, this lady right here, and we're just going to all on the count of three say, hi, Pastor Monica, 1, 2, 3.
Hi, Pastor Monica.
Took our fellas with her door-to-door, and she really knows the streets of Flint. She knew the families that were in need, who were in need, and she put the brothers up in a hotel. They were not expecting that. So for that, we say, God bless you, thank you. Your benevolence will not go unanswered, my darling. So we want to hear how the day went with you, because you saw the president. Did you get more than 60 seconds with the POTUS?
Oh, it was a great day for the city of Flint. I started my day downtown with some residents in the city as kind of like a welcome party and rally. You know, it's so important that President Obama came to Flint to see our city and to meet the families. And from there, I moved to Northwestern High School, which was where he would end his time in the city. And the president spent nearly an hour with us and with the crowd. There was probably about 1,000 people or so in there. That's what they advertised as far as tickets. And he gave a wonderful speech and really got the crowd excited, very uplifting and hopeful, and a strong message of what it means to be community and community together and a democracy of we the people. It was just a tremendous day.
You know, he mentioned the part that I got when I was watching it this afternoon on MSNBC, is he said, this is the perfect example of how people always say, we don't want the government involved. But you need the government. You need them to know, because that's who supports the infrastructure for every city in the United States. We can't do it by ourselves, and we should not have to be struggling like this. I like the fact that he brought to our attention as Americans, this is a situation that should not have ever happened. If government were on their job, it should have not ever have happened. Your pipes were connected, born, raised, whatever, in the early 1900s. No one is watching. No one is watching, and that's the sad thing. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to introduce you to our esteemed panel here, and we had an opportunity, Pastor, to get Jibreel and TJ Legacy on the radio a couple of weeks ago. So they told me all about you, and I was dying to meet you, and I just think it's so wonderful that you're taking a moment to just share with us. So let's get started. We have an audience of a few listeners here. We're under hurricane watch here in Central Florida. So yeah, so I'm just grateful that we have the people here in our audience, and some of them are actually from Flint. So yeah, would you be Flintonians?
Flintstones.
I wasn't going. I was. See, now that was a. I thought about saying that. Flintstones from Bedrock. Would you agree with that phrase, Pastor?
Amen.
So this is going to be a light evening. Again, my name is Monica May, and I host the Steve Harvey Morning Show here. And it's really a pleasure of mine to also man the Star Cares component of what the station does. It's the only station I've worked in over 35 years who gives back to the community. We give money to organizations or causes such as the Sunshine for Flint effort to bring relief to the residents there in Flint. So I want to introduce our panel to you. Now, on my right, your left probably, is going to be TJ Legacy. Now, TJ Legacy, I just found out, is not even 30 years old, but he is a phenomenal activist. And TJ has just been recently appointed the new African American Orange County Democratic Executive Committee Chair. Now, he remains committed to educate, advocate, mobilize, and empower the Black community and people of color. TJ's mission is just to leave a legacy that stands for truth and empowerment for the community. Now, I just added that on because I've learned this young man. Jibreel Ali is sitting right next to him, and he's the second half. It was just two men and a truck that took a whole bunch of water and other necessities up to Flint, Michigan. But Jibreel is a District 5 Orlando community leader and organizer. He's the president of the Rock Lake Neighborhood Association, the vice chair of the West Lakes Economic Opportunities Council, and treasurer of the Orange County Democratic Disability Caucus. I'm not going to ask you how old you are, but are you in that same bracket right there? A little bit older, a little bit less?
5 years legacy senior.
Okay. In other words, he's 5 years older than he, okay? But these two men, I want to ask how you all met, first of all, and then, but in a moment, okay? Because they've got an interesting story. This was the third part. This gentleman sitting next to them was the third part of our original interview. And Eric Rollins is actually from that area. So he was familiar with the Flint situation. He was familiar. And he said, I'm surprised it took this long for it to be uncovered. Now, Eric Rollins is, he said, not to be confused with Rollins College, because he wishes he could take that G off of his name to get some of that money. But he is the Orange County Soil and Water Conservation Supervisor, and he's going to explain to us a little bit more in depth about what that water situation really, really, really looks like from the inside out. And the other thing that I asked him in our interview for the radio was, could that happen to us? Yes, it could, Miss Flintstone. So we have to be on top of that. Aramis Ayala, sitting next to him, she's been my go-to person every election since I've been here. For the last probably 3-4 elections, when we talk about all of those amendments that are added to our give me the Constitution. So she breaks them down for us on the radio. She's also running for state attorney. She's also probably the youngest and only African-American female that's ever taken that task. But she's God-driven, and she knows that that's what she's supposed to do for us. And actually, she was born and raised in Saginaw. She also is familiar with that water situation. And that, we know, is just 30 miles north of Flint. She's a graduate of the University of Michigan and the University of Detroit Mercy School of Law. She's practiced law here in Florida since 2003, most recently resigning her position as a homicide prosecutor in order to run for the state attorney's office. All right? Yes, yes, yes. And finishing up our panel, we've been on a couple of these out at the University of Central Florida together. James Smith is an attorney at law in private practice. He's also formerly with the legal corps of the U.S. Army, as well as an adjunct at FAMU Law School. And he brings a wealth of knowledge as well. So thank you, thank you, thank you, Attorney Smith, for being here with us. So this is our panel. Let's give them a very nice round of applause. Little Miss Flint is going to be with us this evening. And I was telling you, they were saying, and I'm very transparent, y'all, so forgive me, because I tell it all. Sometimes I need to shut my mouth. But this little girl is 8 years old. So they said, Monica, we can't get her. She's not responding to Skype. I said, she's been on everybody's TV show, everybody's radio show for the last 2 weeks. She's tired, y'all. She's 8. But she got a little food in her belly, and she's going to tell us about her 60 seconds of fame with the POTUS. But she doesn't realize that in that 60 seconds, forget about that face-to-face time. She left an indelible impression, and you have to remind me to tell her this again, Pastor. She left an indelible mark on the President of the United States' mind, his heart. More so than anything else, he's known about this situation, but it was her request to him. She was on her way to Washington to hear more from the governor when he had to make his statement, right?
Correct.
And that's when her mom asked her, would you like to meet him? What would you say to him? So she put it in a letter. And she told him the truth. She wanted him or his wife to come up there and check on them. And actually, that's what he did today. So we have, and isn't it ironic that we would have planned this for the same day as when they were having the first town hall meeting there? So, Pastor, I want to come back to you, Pastor Monica. I'm Monica as well. And tell me, what it's been like for you all for the last couple of years, because as we know, Eric, we're talking about 2 years, but this has been going on for a long time. But it's been brought to the public's attention of the last 2 years. Tell us what it's been like there, real time.
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you. This has been a long journey for the citizens of Flint, for the people of Flint. Back in 2014, when the city of Flint water changed to the Flint River, well, we were under the control of the emergency manager appointed by our governor. People immediately noticed a change in our water quality. There were protests and demonstrations. Even at my own church, we have colored water. We have iron pipes inside of the church. And when that water flows through those pipes, it comes out brown. You can see the iron sediment inside of the water. And for 2 years, nearly 2 years, the citizens of Flint have been dealing with that kind of issue. And that iron in the water that I've been seeing for 2 years, that was only an indicator that we had a contamination issue. So for years, we've been saying there's a problem. And over again, our elected officials, our state government has said, don't worry, everything's safe. And when Dr. Mona came out with her findings that the children, the littlest, smallest, most vulnerable in our community, had elevated lead levels in their blood, I remember that day when I was watching the TV. And even though I'd seen the signs, but to hear it from Dr. Mona, I remember feeling just the pit of my stomach drop and my heart just fluttered, because I knew this was a big deal. This was big. This was our entire city. This was everybody. And I remember even as a pastor thinking, what about all those children I've had in my church? About the day camp programs that we ran in the last 2 summers? The water that we served. Not all of our water in the church is colored. And actually we found that the water that looked clearest, it looked safe to drink, that water had the highest lead content. It was the clear water. And I understood how moms and dads and grandmas and grandpas and aunts and uncles who gave their children this water to drink, because we knew nothing different until Dr. Mona stepped forward with her findings, and everything changed. I think the world changed, especially for the citizens of Flint, but it rocked our nation as well. And it wasn't until October when our governor and the Department of Health and Human Services confirmed those findings from Dr. Mona. And then we had to wait until January for the governor to declare a state of emergency. And we're so thankful that President Obama, upon the request of our governor, immediately took action when he was asked. This situation is a tragedy. I call it a political catastrophe. This was policy with some bad decisions that led to a crisis that should have never, ever happened. And we are still suffering from this. But I tell you, today was a great day to have President Obama come to lift up the spirits of this city and reinvigorate us for a new hope, for a future. All is not lost in our city. We are resilient people, and with good friends like Sunshine for Flint and our fellow friends in Florida and all around the state, we've been so blessed to have so many people come together. I think that's what happens in crises. Yes. We find some of the best in our people, and that the human lives come together. We become and realize that we're intertwined with each other, and we begin to see our neighbor differently.
You know, the president said that today, that there has been so much help from people around the country, around the nation, just focusing in. But it's timely, and we didn't want to lose focus of it because the crisis is still going on. I'm going to ask you in just a moment, so Pastor, I want you to think about the emotions of feeling despair, of feeling forgotten about, because that's what I hear over and over and over from residents there. And Eric, I wanted to ask you, Now, Pastor Monica said that for the last 2 years, and then it was brought to everyone's attention in October, and not until January was it really made public. How long do you think the pipes have been bad and people have been consuming this kind of lead-filled water?
Well, like you said, the lead pipes are very old. So I think it wasn't until they changed the water and then the pH changed and the chemical changed, and that's what made the pipes erode or to leach the lead out. But you know, it's beyond the 2 years. Where was the responsibility of the state of Michigan to test that water? We test our OUC water on a routine basis. If maybe they normally don't test for lead in a general testing, but if you know those are lead pipes, that would be an indication that you might want to test for lead. So this has gone on for a long time. I think it's just erupted now. And you know, even with the hope that the president gave today, you have to, who's going to be responsible for the children that are going to be suffering from developmental problems that we don't know about today? I think it's a tragedy that we suffer from the same ignorance and disbelief that our governors are very similar about not listening to us. So I really think that there is a solution that's pretty simple and it's free. A vote. Get people out there and get people in offices that are going to care about their constituents and the people, like the people in Flint. Because when you said having a pit in your stomach, Pastor, I couldn't believe of how a mom is feeding her newborn with formula that's made with that water, and what a self-responsibility or what a concern that you were part of the problem, but the people aren't. This falls squarely on bad policy and on bad government. And the thing is that the governor knew, and I believe it was his chief of staff or somebody in his office that actually resigned because he was bringing it to their attention, and they released emails that he knew about this. Mm-hmm. And what kind of responsibility, if we did something like that to one another, would we be in jail? Would we be arrested? You know, I think that there needs to be more responsibility.
The politics of that state have been a little improper for quite a bit of time. The president mentioned, Pastor, and you can confirm this, and everybody that saw or heard him today, that they were instructed because of lack of funds to do what they needed to do to cut back. But this was not an area that should have been cut back on. So I'm going to ask one of our two attorneys, what would be the legal ramifications for the governor, against the elected officials there who did know and did nothing about it?
There are several different things that we can consider, but definitely criminal charges are one. Whenever a person is in a position of authority, you're looking at fraudulent, you're looking at corruption, and whether or not there was deceitful words, deceitful conduct, and things that ended up harming people. So as this investigation goes on, I think once you're able to establish the emails that were mentioned, that he did know, now you're increasing that level of accountability where you're now also increasing the probability of additional arrest, including the governor.
Interesting. Attorney Smith, do you want to add to that?
Yes, and thank you. There are actually 4 lawsuits that are taking place right now, which if you're interested in this topic, I would definitely encourage you to Google them and take a look. And the first is there's a federal law called the Safe Drinking Water Act, and that law imposes an obligation on municipal officials to test water for contaminants, and then if they find them, to actually take action to replace the water delivery systems. So the ACLU and a number of local activists have filed a federal class action lawsuit saying that these local officials violated that law and they're seeking monetary damages. Now, one of the interesting things about this lawsuit is that it seeks to address the harm to children by saying that one of the requested reliefs that should be granted is lifetime medical care for any children who may have been harmed as a result of the violation of this law. There's another lawsuit which is quite interesting to me, and I think it's the most novel one. And if you think about it, it's very, I think, unique. Water bills. You have individuals who have been paying water bills for years for water that is essentially killing them. And so this lawsuit is saying, not only should we not, from this point forward, have to continue to pay for the water, but we should get a refund for all of the water bills that we paid previously during the time period when you knew that this water was contaminated, and also seeking an injunction to keep the officials in that city from shutting off the water. I mean, if you think about the irony of that, you have individuals saying, we know the water is contaminated, however, we want you to pay for it, and if you don't pay for it, we're going to cut off your water. There's a third theory, and the theory is negligence, and that is government officials have a responsibility to behave with a certain standard and duty of care. And that failure to do so, once they became aware of the fact that there were lead contaminants in the water supply and they continued to let it consumed by people, that amounts to negligence. And then the final theory is the falling property values. If you think about it, you have a number of individuals who have homes, businesses, and things of that nature, and the local officials have known for years about this problem relating to the water. And so even if somehow, some way, miraculously, that was dealt with within a short period of time, who in their right mind right now would want to move to that area and buy a home or open up a business? So those are really 4 lawsuits that are out there that I think we'll have to pay close attention to.
Yes.
The only thing I
Thank
wanted
you
to-
very much, Attorney Smith.
That was excellent. The difference that we have to be mindful of, there are criminal prosecutions and then there are civil lawsuits. The civil lawsuits that he was just articulating are going to help remedy, are going to provide different avenues of protection and security and payment on the long run. Then you have the criminal prosecution, which that will hold the people accountable, imprison them, or what they need to do. So it sets the standard for other politicians to know that you cannot hide behind the veil of politics, of money, and passing the buck. So we have to distinguish between the 2 different type of lawsuits and not leave either one on the table.
Can I add
Yes.
one thing? And I just heard on the radio on NPR on the way in that the housing prices have dropped 21.2%.
I would imagine
So far.
I wanted to get back to something, and thank you very much, Attorney Ayala and Eric. I wanted to share with you something that came from the state's chief medical executive, and they said this week that all children who consume the city's water since April of 2014 are considered to have been exposed to lead, which is a neurotoxin affecting the development of the brain and the nervous system. Now, lead is particularly damaging to children under 6 because the brain shows rapid growth in the early years of a child's life. Now, exposure may have been heightened, get this, during the 3 periods when city officials instructed residents to boil their tap water before consuming it. And you know that raising the temperature concentrates the level of lead. Hi, my darling, she's with us. Experts say lead exposure is connected to lower IQ, behavioral problems, learning disabilities, and mental retardation. Heavy doses of lead can trigger convulsions, coma, and death. There is no safe lead level for children, and experts consider the damage irreversible. Can you imagine what our children there have been exposed to? And I say our children because we're all connected. Look at Mari. How you doing, darling?
Good.
Good. She has that little 8-year-old voice. We saw you on television today. We saw you on television today. We did. We did. How do you feel, my darling? Are you wearing your Sunshine for Flint shirt?
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
That's great.
We just want to say we love you. We think that you are so very brave and so smart for doing what you did. Talk to us and tell us what inspired you to write the letter to the president.
I wanted to meet him.
You wanted to meet him. What else? Did you want him to know, he and the FLOTUS, the first lady, you wanted them to know what you were going through and what your, and she always says her community, what you and your community were going through, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have the letter? Do you have the letter nearby?
Not right by her. It's downstairs in a frame.
In a frame. Do you remember a little bit about what you said in that letter? What did you say? Dear President Obama. Do you remember a little bit? Little bit. No, she said no.
She told him that she marches and rallies and that she was coming to Washington and she wanted to meet him.
Okay. Were you excited? That is her mom that's there with her. Thank you, Mom. Let us see you, too. You be in this frame. Hi. How are you? I'm so happy for you ladies. Now, Marnie, what do you think after meeting him? Do you feel better about him coming to see you in Flint? Do you realize, and I need you to know, as we talk about legacies that we want to leave, do you realize that you were the reason the president came to Flint? He had been trying to get there, but you kind of gave him that encouragement to come. How do you feel about that?
Excited.
You excited? When you met him, what were you feeling when you met him? I've never met the president. I would love to.
I was kind of scared, but he gave me a big hug.
He did give you a big hug. You know,
He picked me up too.
He did. I bet you that's something you won't ever forget, huh? So now, how old are you?
I'm 8
And
years old.
8 years old. Let me ask you something. I've heard that schools there have been closed down. Is that true?
Uh-huh.
Has it been for a while? How long have you been out of school? How long have you been out of school?
She's never went to a Flint school. Flint schools have taken a huge decline, I'd say, in the past 10, 11 years.
Mm-hmm. So would you say, Mom, and those who are from Flint and from Saginaw, that it's not only water we're talking about?
No, it's not only water. It's violence. It's lack of quality schools. There's a lot more to it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I think that besides the infrastructure there's a high level of employment. Jibreel and TJ are going to talk about that. You all got some statistics for us. Let's hear about that.
Yeah, we got the statistics that, was it 50% unemployment rate in Flint, Michigan, and 40% have criminal records or are felons. So because of the factories and was it GMC that were shut down and they left, the city, when we went to and we took the trip there, there's such a lack of resources. We didn't see any services. We didn't see any police cars. We didn't see any fire trucks. It was basically a ghost town, you know, and I say that respectfully. It was a ghost town. There wasn't many people, even where Little Miss Flint, where she lives, no one had, we were told that no one has been to deliver water to that area in about a little under 2 months. So
Little Miss Flint, when the guys came to see you, when you met TJ and Mr. Jibreel, what did you think about them coming to bring you some water?
Happy.
You were happy? Were you, had you had any water delivered to you prior to them coming? Before they came, had anybody brought you guys some water?
It had been about a month since we've had water delivered from volunteers.
yeah. Well,
This
Monica,
is something.
if we may, the way we met Little Miss Flint, we were on the trip. We actually, Jibreel and I, we opened the truck and we went door to door in the fifth ward area. We went door to door. We opened the truck. Jibreel's knocking on doors. I'm passing Jibreel the water, and out comes this little girl from afar. Curls, as the kids say, she's slaying with the curls, and everything was the outfit, and she had a little basket, and she's walking to the truck. And I just said, Jibreel. I didn't know she was Little Miss Flint at the time. I said, Jibreel, make sure she gets water.
You can tell something was special about her.
Special about her.
You know, and so, you know, seeing and talking to the residents, I mean, like she just mentioned, it had been a month and a half, and again, some of the residents told us that they had thought that people forgot about them, and so talk about a hard tear, talking about feeling a sense of concern and a sense of empathy for the folks out there. It really tore at us, and so as we get to talking to the residents, I mean, it was just good to meet little Miss Flint, not knowing, and she was very knowledgeable about. I was very impressed by her,
and very animated too.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. What you see is what you get. Very, and she lights up the room. Absolutely.
So tell me, Mari, tell me, did you feel like everyone forgot about you
No.
and your community? Did you ever feel like nobody cared? Did you ever feel like, what about us?
The governor don't care.
The governor doesn't care, she says. He doesn't care. And the governor was booed today when he was introduced. No one was expecting him to show up at the rally today. There were 1,000 people sitting in that civic center. Mm-hmm. And the governor came up there and he said, the government has failed us. And they booed and said, no, you have failed us.
Yes.
You have failed us. The city executives have failed that city. So is there anything else, Mari, you want to ask for that you and your family and your community are in need of? What are some things that you all need? And Big Miss Flint, you can jump in there too.
Right now we need more water testing. We need more extensive testing done. It's so much more than the lead. We got our water results back from Water Defense yesterday, and we have the highest levels they've tested of chloroform in our bathtub and shower. Toxic levels. So it's so much more than just lead in the water. We need the testing done on not only the hot water heaters, but the tubs, the showers, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and our lead level was, in our hot water heater, was over double of what the legal limits are. Just in our hot water heater.
What now can be done about that? What are things that we're trying to figure out what we can do as a community, as your family, your extended family here in Central Florida? What can we send you? We know water, but are there test treatments? Are there, help me guys, what can we do?
Water Defense is trying to get the new type of testing out and done for people, so we can test not only what the CDC and EPA have been testing for, but they're testing for all the chemicals. They're trying to figure out what's causing the rashes, what's causing the headaches, what's causing everybody to be so sick. I think we need to urge the EPA to get some new standards for testing and to expand the amount that they're doing, because they're not testing for almost anything right now. And they did not test our hot water heater where we had the lead levels at.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that President Obama said today also, and we wouldn't expect him to make these kinds of comments, but he was very clear that when you have a community whose economic structure is so poor, the attention is not given to them. So again, we have situations
one
like
point
that.
I wanted to bring up is there's so many relief efforts similar to Sunshine for Flint, where people are donating water and there's so many water bottles. Why aren't there recycle companies that are trying to go to Flint in order to create not only revenue but create a job? These are the things that need to happen in the city. We need to become more innovative with the way our thinking is, and not just say, we're not going to go there because of the water. No, these are our fellow Americans. We also need to reach out and find new ways and think outside the box in order to bring jobs and assist these people in Flint.
Has there been, does anybody know this, has there been any effort to increase the job situation, to regain the trust for the educational system? Because again, this is not since 2014. 11 years, this is to set, and I'm coming to you right now, because we do have an audience with us as well.
Yes.
So introduce yourself, because you're one of my Flintonians.
Hello, my name is Elisa Dyson. I live in Orlando by way of Flint, Michigan. One thing that you spoke on, when General Motors left, they turned the lights out. Change is hard on people. Now you have so many people that have left the area. I liken it to Flint has retirees and thugs.
And that's it.
That's it. The infrastructure is, it looks like a third world country.
Yes.
You guys
Yes.
Absolutely.
You have a block of houses, might be one occupant.
Sure.
The rest are boarded up. It's really something to see.
Yeah.
And I hate to see my city
Yes.
look like that. I'm concerned about my family. You know, they're breaking out in rashes. I was home in December for Christmas, and one of my little nieces, her behavior was different. And I noticed that. And I told my niece, take her, have her tested. Her lead level was high. She's 8 years old, so she's gonna be damaged. It's, you guys, just, it's hard. It's hard to call home and restaurants are closed and schools are closing because we don't have water. A simple, basic need. Flint is not asking for anything. Fix the doggone pipes. I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional. But that's my home. I may live here the rest of my life, with just a little humor added. I told my son, when I close my eyes, take me home.
You can't forget. You don't forget. Home is home. And if somebody could help me get her some tissue, I would appreciate that. Thank you very, very, very much. Thank you for sharing that with us. When you have situations like this, you want to know what you can do to help. And that's basically why we're here. We want to know what the next steps can be. Guys, what do you think? Because in our interview, we talked about when you go up again, because they said, this is not, they didn't make that trip just that one time. Those two brothers in that truck, they're going back. This is about sustainability. It's not just a one-time effort. What next? What can we help you raise?
Well, I know Pastor Monica is one who's well-versed on this issue, but some of the ideas, really reaching out to your congressman, and it goes back to testing the EPA, going to the EPA and testing the lead levels and making sure that it's, I would like to see it be tested every 6 months instead of, I believe it's every 4 years that the levels are being tested. And just more outreach. What we would like to do with Sunshine for Flint, this initiative, is not just here in Central Florida, but encourage other communities to do the same.
Sure.
You know, link up with your U-Haul or Enterprise Rent-A-Car and galvanize your community.
But what can we bring them when you guys go back?
They need shower filters. They need still bottled water. They need lead filters, because a lot of the Brita lead filters that they were receiving, and I know Mari's mom, Lulu, can attest to this as well, didn't fit on the pipes. So Brita was not a
good fit.
A good fit at all. So
hold on, Lulu, have you decided what kind of a filter works better?
At all, the filter, our water smells like bleach. Even if it's filtered, it smells like bleach. We have a water dispenser that we use for drinking water, and then we open bottles of water for cooking. If we want to give the kids baths, we heat up gallons of bottled water. That's how we live. We're not using the tap water for any ingestion at all.
Jibreel?
yeah, about how we stayed in Flint.
Sure. Well, first of all, let me set the record straight a little bit here. I want to first of all mention that my wife was the first one who planted the seed for Flint. She had
Stacy Michelle Ali. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
She saw a posting from a group of folks in Miami who were doing some of the same ideas about carrying water on through, and so that was the initial seed that got us going. Again, TJ picked it up, being a community organizer, and you mentioned earlier how TJ and I first got started. Well, I've always believed in a policy, or at least an initiative, of just working with whoever wants to do the work, whoever really want to roll their sleeves up. I know that you see us in nice jackets and whatnot, but we were out there in 32-degree weather just passing out bottles.
Yeah, I saw you guys, so it's cold still.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in terms of the long-range Flint perspective, my thought process, I think, would be with yours, is that, you know, I'm appreciative of the president being there today. I think him finally coming to Flint and seeing the residents and meeting Maury was very important, but I would like to see a major billion-dollar effort, Army Corps of Engineers going down there until every pipe has been looked at, until every home has been repaired, I think you will always have a problem here. So in terms of Flint, Sunshine of Flint, what our initiatives is to do is just to keep the pressure on, keep the conversation going, and look at any legal ramifications, I think, or policy agenda items we can do and bring awareness to. And I think that's where we're headed right now.
And I also received a list from Pastor Monica of different items that you can donate directly. They also need clothes. They need baby formula, baby wipes. Just there's so many things that that are in need. Filters, of course. And some of the kids, they don't have toys to play with, so if you would like to donate toys, we actually sent Mari a little gift as well. And we don't want to forget our little Miss Sunshine for Flint, which is Tiara. Tiara was a little girl who helped us unload the truck when we went to Samuel Lutheran Church.
Is that who had her wagon?
No,
Mari had the
yeah,
wagon.
Mari had the wagon. Tiara actually got on the truck after, and she was a volunteer. We drove 20 hours, we were tired, and she was the energy that we needed to say, come on guys, let's go, let's unload the truck, let's go. And she was the boss to kind of keep us going. So we also
How old was she?
She's actually 11.
She's 11.
She's 11, and if you want to go on our Facebook page, Sunshine, Facebook.com/Sunshine for Flint, she has a video where she talks about the water.
And she shows the bottle
yes.
of the water. And the water is almost as brown as the stool there.
Yes.
And that's scary.
Yes.
That's really scary. So why don't you shoot me that list?
Will do.
And we'll post it on the website. Because we're a giving community. Absolutely. And beyond the water, and we know that they need money, because you guys need money for your truck.
Yes.
Getting back up there. But we want to know perhaps the right filter, and maybe Eric, maybe you can help us with that, and maybe we can find out what to buy.
Yeah, I really don't know the
size,
brand
yeah.
name or what
Gotcha.
with the, and there's also capacity issues like shower versus your tap water. What does it actually filter, and how fast it filters the water? So there's a lot of questions there.
Technical stuff. Okay. Well, any other folks from the community want to make mention of what this means for you? What's the emotion that you have seeing and being a part of this forum this evening? Anybody want to share? Yes, I'll be right there to you. And tell me your name. And are you a Flintonian?
I'm actually from Tallahassee, Florida. My name is Kyla Coleman. I was invited here by Mr. TJ. Basically, it just hit home to me hearing about formula, baby formula, and how you have to use polluted water to feed your child. I'm not a mother, but I have a 2-year-old nephew, and for me, hearing that, I can't imagine how I would even begin to fix my nephew's little bottle when he was a baby with polluted water. So this has really encouraged me. I am now going to get on Facebook and be rallying behind this whole thing. I think sometimes when you are far removed from a situation, you can't place yourself in their shoes. And I'm guilty of it. I don't know if anyone else in this room is guilty of it, but I've not paid this issue that much attention. But my attention is here now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. You're saying?
It's bad.
Yes.
I told y'all my baby was sleepy.
Yeah.
Mari, go put your pajamas on. Night, night, baby.
I just got pajama pants on.
You got your pajama pants on already? You gonna sleep in your Sunshine for Flint shirt? Don't pull it up, girl. Don't pull it up. Pull your shirt down, girl.
Let everybody see.
Well, let me just share with you. We think you are very smart. We think you are such an encouragement for the nation. We think that tomorrow is going to bring brighter things for you and for all of Flint, because you have reminded us of the situation that you all are going through. All right? So be encouraged. Be encouraged, all right? And we're going to find out some more things that you guys need. And right now, we're going to let you go to sleep. Everybody say good night, Miss Flint.
Good night.
Wait.
Oh, wait.
Wait.
Wait, what? You saying wait? Yeah. Go ahead.
What do you got to say?
Well, I didn't know what the Sunshine for Flint guys gave me.
What
My
they give
prince
you?
it.
What they
They
give you?
gave me American Girl Mega Blocks.
Wow.
Give you a letter and some shirts.
And some shirts. Oh, so sweet.
Good night.
Good night, Mari. Good night.
Yes,
What did you say?
I'm not actually going to bed.
Yes, you are. You've been up since 4 o'clock this morning.
I was going to say, I remember mine when she was 8, and you really, no nap today. You've done very well. So let's give her a nice round of applause. Thank you, Mari. Thank you, Miss Lulu.
You're welcome.
Good night.
yes.
And we're going to wrap up as well, because I don't want to keep you out too late.
Yes.
But I'm going to get some last words from our panelists, and if anybody else wanted to make some comments. And first of all, let me just thank each and every one of you for being out here. We have a hurricane watch, and I want you guys to get home safe, you know, and as early as possible. But guys, I want to start at the end with Attorney Smith. Last words for us.
I think this is an example of something that may sound controversial when I say this, but how America has been falling apart for quite some time.
Yes.
You know, we're talking about water, but let's remember the last national crisis that we had relating to water, and that was Hurricane Katrina. And you hear a lot of rhetoric about how the federal government can't accomplish anything and taxes are too high. But all you have to do is travel around the world, and you see how we as a nation are falling apart when you compare us to other nations. Our airports are just pale in comparison. Our trains, our roads, and our infrastructure. And there's been a lot of this anti-government, anti-tax rhetoric, which I think has resulted in the problems that you see today in Flint, Michigan. So I think hopefully we'll hold our candidates for the presidency, their feet to the fire, and ask them, what is your solution to try to rebuild America?
So we have to be more vocal,
Yes.
all right, and more aware.
I would say that this shows exactly why local elections matter. A lot of times we get excited. We get excited when there's a president who looks like us, who sounds like us, and we can get involved in the process. But when we say politics is local, it is. It's not just even at the state level. It's your county commissioners. Laws are made here, and laws, the people who put Snyder in office, that was a decision of the people. He's not there. Or in this case, it was a lack of decision by people, those who chose not to vote, those who not chose to get part of the process. So you have two options. You can be a part of the process and to help effectuate change and hold people accountable, or you can sit and become a victim like so many unfortunate people. So I'm going to suggest that everyone find out voting dates and be not just a voter, but be an informed voter.
So participate in your elections.
I think the two best resources that any community needs are people and water. And I think that if we have to be careful here, because people say, well, could it really happen here? Well, let me tell you, it already is. It's just on a different level. Our governor vetoed $700,000 to clean up the Indian River Lagoon, and he had hundreds of thousands of pounds of fish die. And so, yeah, we're not drinking that water, but we do have homes at that water. We do have businesses. We live in those communities that we survive on people visiting those areas. Then you look at the Caloosahatchee River. You look at the St. Lucie River. Total collapse there too. You're looking at East Orange County right now is having a water crisis, and they tested.
Is that a pop gun?
No, that would be Wedgefield.
Okay.
And Channel 9 just reported on that, and that's an issue. And now they're having to go through the levels were really high.
You mentioned something about a POPCO one time to me.
Right, there's wells that there seems like there might be a certain area where the cancer rates are really high, and so the discussion is if they're testing the water and the tests are coming back okay, are they testing for the right things? And one of the toxins from years ago that they believe were leaching in the soil was from the citrus industry. So that remains to be seen. But how long do you have to wait until something's an issue? When you look at our governor is a lot like the governor in Michigan of sticking his head in the sand and not dealing with the problems that we have. And how bad does it have to get before we really take things seriously? And if it's something like Flint, then shame on us. But I think that on a local level, like you were saying, it is so very important to stay involved, to know the issues, and object. We've got, when you look at Flint, why in World War II, we all got together and we all came together. Why can't in a month or in a year we could get this done if we really wanted to, and then you're talking about the jobs of the people, training the people, the local residents to do the pipes, to make this a bad situation into an opportunity. And right now it's not. Everybody's waiting for someone else to do something. Get on it now. Come up with a plan.
Jibreel mentioned the Army Corps of Engineers. They could easily begin the training process right
Absolutely.
there. So who can we get to get the Army Corps of Engineers involved? How do we do that?
Well, first of all, we first just want to give a little time and perspective just to thank God for the opportunity and the blessings that we have here. We got 66 million folks who come to Orlando every year. And I think why the seed of what we wanted to do was show that we could come together, and if we put egos aside, if we just work together to find a solution for one issue. We put together one delivery system, one goal. I think that's the perspective that we have here, and we got to maintain that moving forward. And so my final thoughts is that that's what we have to do to keep the needle going.
I'm coming back to that Army Corps of Engineers question, though.
It's a heavy one.
That's a big one.
It's a big one.
Go ahead, TJ.
Well, like Jibreel touched on, from the beginning of Sunshine for Flint, I just want everybody to understand, Sunshine for Flint started with just a Facebook post. Just think about that. With social media today, it started with one Facebook post and someone, Stacy, reaching out and saying, there's a community in help, will someone help me? Community in need. Will someone help?
Sure.
And so to the best of our abilities, we really became a family within this process and helped, where Sunshine for Flint, we literally affectionately call it our baby. And so I'm so thankful for Stacy. I'm so thankful for Washington Shores Church of Christ, the churches involved, St. Lutheran's Church in Winter Park, Mr. Steve, Eric. This shows how we can come together. It shows that there were a lot of people, and I just want to be quite frank, this wasn't easy. There were a lot of people that did not want to see this happen for all types of reasons, but it did because we persevered and we touched a lot of lives. And everything works and is good. I'm a man of faith. So I want to let everyone understand that we were supposed to go probably a month earlier. And so if we went a month earlier, we probably would have never met Pastor Monica. We probably would have never run into Little Miss Flint that day. So we had to go that time. And then when we came with this forum, the idea for this forum, we were throwing around different ideas and different dates. And we said, well, let's do the 5th, let's do the 2nd. And then we just said, you know what, why don't we just do the 4th? And we had no idea that President Obama was going to be in Flint on the 4th. So when things come together for they're good, like that, we are onto something powerful. And so coming together is the spirit of service, and that's what we're doing. And I'm so proud of everybody that's involved with Sunshine for Flint, that came together in Orlando, and I'm so encouraged, and I have such a fire in me to continue the service and continue, like you said, continue a legacy of service and really change a culture that we don't have to have infighting in our communities. We could come together because we've seen the future. The future is in Flint.
Well, no, the future is in.
Well, the future. What I mean by
right
that,
here.
The future is in Flint. If we
Do you
don't
see?
hold accountability, accountability to our elected officials, accountability to each other. It's not just voting, because we can vote, but we have to be accountable for ourselves, and we have to be accountable to those in office representing us. And so in Flint, I just want to read. Pastor Monica just gave me the actual filters that they need, so I want to make sure everyone has that.
Is she gone?
We're trying to get her back, but I
Okay,
want, just in case, it's 0 water pitchers are needed, 0 water 23 cup dispensers are needed, Pure Max iron faucet filters, and she puts in parentheses NSF 53 certified, and there's a certain Brita filter, Brita faucet filter, NSF 53 certified. So if you want to help,
send that to me so we can put it on the website.
Yes.
Because nobody in here is going to.
Yes. I just wanted to make sure for those
that
on
was
social
great. Like
media
I'm
world,
going to the grocery store right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I want to get some of those things. I'm going to also wrap up as well.
Absolutely. And thank you.
Oh, yeah.
For Monica May and Star 94.5 for WOKB. This was a complete community and team effort. Monica was a champion, and she said, "You guys, whatever you need, you see the donation. It took so much work, and it took everybody to come together."
But you know, the biggest thing, and I'm going to share this with you. The biggest thing is when we open our mouths, we get things done. And the thing is that we have to continue to open our mouths. I've never been afraid to do that. And my transparency is what
Absolutely.
helps. I'll ask anybody for anything.
She's back.
And that's what we had to do to get this done. Believe it or not, just my background, I wasn't hired to host Tom Joyner or Steve Harvey. They hired me to connect with our community. That's what I excel at. That's really all I want to do. The rest of the stuff has been a blessing because I can be a DJ with my eyes closed, and it's okay. But my real purpose, the legacy I want to leave, is making a difference when the situation arises. Come on, people. Open your mouths. Share with us the good news. Share with us what we need to do next. If you give us step by step by step, we will give it back to you step by step, and it's done. So if we stay connected, that means all of us, I got to put a sheet of paper, even if it's a legal pad right now, of your names and your numbers, because I'm going to be connecting with y'all and saying, y'all promised to do so and so and so. We're part of this solution now. And that's my final word on this. We got the problem. We know what the issues are. Let's be a part of the solution. You wanted to say one quick thing.
Hi, my name is Inez Savage. And I'm not from Flint, Michigan, but my husband is, and he's at work right now. And when I did visit about 3 years ago, I was really surprised how it did look like a ghost town, and I felt like the people were depressed. And I said to my husband, how can your parents remain here? Why are they still here? They are retired from GMC. They own their home, and everything that they had was invested in their home. So for a lot of people that are retired, there's no other place to go. And for the younger people, you know, same sort of thing, unless they know someone in a different state, where are they going to go? And that's where we come in. All things work together for the good of those who love the Lord. Absolutely. And we're all going to work together. My question to you is, how about some of the entertainers? How about the celebrities? Have we reached out to them? Can we get a spokesperson from that angle and say, hey, because they already have an attraction to help Walmart, did you say? Or yes, Home Depot. They're out there and they are employing some of our people, some of the residents. What can they do? How can we all partner with them? How can we get a celebrity to come out to do a concert free? How about Beyonce? You're on the stage doing that. Let's represent the people. So, yeah. So my question is, let's reach out. There's nothing too big for our God. Yes. So we're going to reach out to the top people that are out there doing it for the world, but they can come. You know how God will twist things around for the good of those. So we'll reach out to them and say, we need help. We need someone to speak on behalf of Flint.
What I will say is, if an 8-year-old girl can get the president of the United States to come to Flint, Michigan, I think us as grown adults, we can write letters, and we have a lot more accessibility to resources that we can get people to join in on our efforts.
You have a lot more power than you even know. So again, my final word to you is open your mouth. Let us know, and let us stay united and support these brothers' efforts. I want to say thank you again, Attorney Smith, Attorney Ayala. Good luck to you in your run for office. God bless you. Yes. Eric Rollins with a G. Sorry about that G, baby, but thank you so much for all the information and your insight. Yes. Jibreel Ali, we love you. Stacy Michelle Ali, we love you. And that precious baby. Yes. And also TJ Legacy Cole, thank you for being the glue also. Yes, sir.
We're passing around the legal pad so we can get everybody's name and
Amen.
email. So
Amen. And write it so I can read it. So I just need your First and last name and your email address. I don't need phone numbers and all that good stuff. Just give me a way to connect with you. Again, thank you so much for being here. We thank you, Star 94.5. Thank you for the tech team.
Yes.
So, thank you so much, guys. Thank you very much. Appreciate you.